Hey guys, this is UndrCrvdudes all the way from Down Under, and today I'm going to be doing a shoutcast of the Alliance vs Cloud9 game from Worlds 2014. But today I'm going to be doing a different spin on it. This spin is for newer players, hence the Worlds for Noobs title. Basically, the official shoutcast, which is going to be obviously a lot better than mine, goes through the tactics really quickly, and if you've played League of Legends for quite a while, you'll understand it very easily. However, if you're a newer player, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. So I thought, let's go and try something, and if you guys enjoy, then please go and comment it either on Reddit or in the comments section below. So, very stock standard bans for each side. I'm not going to go and talk about the characters because there's no reason, because they're not going to be played in the game. But let's have a look at these picks. Now, Alliance got the first pick of the game. They could go and choose any champion they wanted, and they put their focus in Wicked in the top lane, playing Alistar. Alistar is one of the strongest tanks in the game. He does quite a bit of damage, and his ultimate is damage reduction. So no matter how much damage you put into him, it's going to be cut by a certain percentage. And that is really strong for tanking up a lot of the abilities Cloud9 might throw at him. Now Cloud9 go and respond with this with two very strong picks of their own, arguably stronger than the Alistar pick that they got, that Alliance got initially. Zillion, the guy with the big white beard, he can be played in the mid lane and as a support. As a support, he's going to be using his ultimate to go and revive his teammates. In the mid lane, he's going to be doing that as well, but also using those bombs to great effect. A ton of AP damage right there. Now, Alliance goes and locks in Rammus. Rammus is a very weird pick and is generally only played by Shook in, in terms of every competition. He's the only one that really plays Rammus. He's extremely good at it because of his very fast-paced ganks. You'll see in this game, he'll go and rush Moby Boots before even finishing, maybe, I would say, get his Spirit Stone, and then he'll just go for Moby Boots, where you get that really fast speed. Kog'Maw, solid pick as well, due to the fact he is a late game hyper carry. He's going to scale better than Lucian into the late game. So Alliance is looking for a very late game team at the moment. Alistar, he's not too tanky in the early game. In the late game, he's an unstoppable force. The Rammus pick also goes in synergy as well, because I've got a lot of early game pressure with that. So the team is quite equalized at the moment. Cloud9 try to respond with this with a bit of late game scaling themselves. Rise, the guy with the blue face, he is one of the best AP top laners in the game. His early game against specific champions is quite weak, but saying that, his late game is unstoppable. He has an on-demand stun on his W. You click that person, they're stunned for a short duration of time. Very strong in League of Legends, because having on-demand stuns is just perfect if you want to go and catch out the extremely immobile team of Alliance in terms of their AD carry. Obviously Rammus, a lot of mobility. If the Ahri gets locked in, a lot of mobility. But the Kog'Maw, not so much. His only repositioning is that flash. Now Cloud9 try to go and mix things up with a bit of a Jarvan, crowd everybody together, really good idea, but those two other picks, the Ahri and the Aurelia, kind of mitigate that a little bit. Ahri will simply be able to dash out of the way. Aurelia, same idea. So a very slippery and squishy team, looking less for full-on team fights, but more for pick potential, especially with the Ahri being a very high burst assassin. Aurelia, that's going to be going toe for toe with Rise in the top lane. There's going to be an Alistar support, so it's going to be a very solid pick. The last pick for Cloud9's Morgana. She is arguably one of the most OP supports in the game for good reason. Her stun, her Dark Binding, it's a snare actually, should I go and say. Her snare, the Dark Binding, is 2 seconds at level 1. That is absolutely ridiculous. That combined with, let's say, the Jarvan. Oh, if you go and stun somebody, then follow it up. It is basically GG for that guy. He's going to be easily killed. Along with the ultimate Soul Shackles, He can go and CC a whole team, and that makes Jarvan's job just even that more easier. So overall, these two team compositions, and they're the official shoutcasters, so if you want to go and listen to their commentary, which will be, I don't know, definitely more informative than mine, definitely better than mine, but you know, I just want to go and get some experience, you know, hopefully you guys enjoy it. But let's go back to it. These two teams are very, very different in what they want to go and do. Alliance has mixed potential, Ari especially for that burst and assassination potential, but still they can go in team fight relatively well. Cloud9 is in the same way as well. If we go and have a look at the champions they're going to be playing, a lot of pick potential in the bot lane with Lemon and Sneaky, Lucian, Morgana, very strong there. However, overall, Cloud9's got more of that team composition in terms of team fighting. So they're going to be, you know, trying to push towards the mid game a lot faster than Alliance, who's going to be waiting, okay, let's just go and farm up. We've got a lot of these late game champions, and that's going to be going really, really, really well for us if we can just go and get through this early game stage. Because most of the solo lanes are going to be losing early. Kog'Maw, he gets absolutely smashed in terms of Lucian due to the fact there's so much pressure from Morgana. Alistar doesn't provide too much pressure in the early game because he just isn't that tanky. Look how many bars of health he has. It's really not that much. Lucian, he can go and dash around, use this light slinger passive to do even more damage. So that's why the Rammus pick is there, to go and help those guys through the early game, and hopefully they can go and scale. Well, if you're an Alliance fan, you would hope they could go and scale. Cloud9, they're just going to try to go in pressure. Zilean, his real reason he's played, and the real reason why he's a contested pick and ban, is due to his ultimate. Obviously for team fights. So ulting yourself, it's good when you're just 1v1ing because you can definitely have an advantage, but in a team fight it's really where it comes out, because if you go and ult Lucian, if he gets bursted down by, let's say, the Ari, very easy, very easy to go and counteract that. So Lucian will just come up and continue doing damage. So everything kind of counters itself in each way. Very balanced team, so you assume to be a very close game. So let's go into the game. And the starting builds are relatively generic. You've got the Sapphire Crystal on Ryze, obviously, due to the fact that his mana, the more mana he has, the more ability power he has. And we're going to get a bit of a snapshot of both junglers who are soloing their buffs. You wouldn't see this so much in solo queue. Generally, if you're a jungler, you would demand for a leash. And to be perfectly honest, that's good in solo queue, but in competitive play, it's not really that necessary, because the lanes need to go and get this CS. If they are 10 CS down, that may not seem much in solo queue, but in a competitive setting, this is definitely a bad thing. And as I said before, Morgana is going to be that lane bully, that zoning potential, just keeping Nif and tabs off Lucian. He's going to be farming up, still doing that damage, and attempting to go and snowball a CS lead where it's considerable that Kog'Maw can only be useful in that late game. And I said that Ryze is bad in some situations. This is not one of them. Ryze is relatively good late game, that's where he shines, but he also is a lane bully against melee AD champions. As you can see, Aurelia is a melee AD champion. She's just getting zoned off this whole wave. Who would have more burst in a 1v1? Obviously Aurelia, but saying that, in this early stages, Ryze has got a bit of an advantage. Now high plane, Zilean in the mid lane, relatively weird pick for him. He's more inclined to play something like Syndra, but that was gone and banned. Zed, that wasn't gone and banned, but it didn't really fit with the composition. Playing Zilean in the mid lane, extremely strong. He's going to be going full AP, so his bombs are going to do a lot of damage. And to go and help him through this relatively okay laning stage, he isn't going to have the worst laning due to his bombs just doing a ton of damage already. But saying that, it's going to be a little bit iffy. Froggen is arguably a better mid laner. So saying that, there's already a mechanical skill difference. So from that, a lot of stuff can occur. But Shook is looking for an extremely early gank, and that's what's really good with Rammus. But he doesn't. He goes and backs off, puts a ward, and that's going to be extremely useful for later. Putting in a ward, scoping out that whole side is going to be really nice if you want to go and gank mid lane again. Rammus is relatively squishy in the mid lane, and his real purpose is for extremely fast and powerful ganks. Not in terms of his damage, but the fact that he can go and get a ton of CC down with his mobility boots. He hasn't backed yet, but I would have a big bet he's going to be running those Mobies. Just ton of farming at the moment. Lemonation playing is one of his most favourite champions on Morgana, just doing an absolutely fantastic job, just absolutely exploiting the Spell Feast edge. The more you poke, the more gold you get. He's doing his job exactly right, and you can see dividends. 25 CS on Kog'Maw, 33 CS on Lucian. That may not seem much to some people, but in the end, that advantage will go in snowball. And just simply walking up to them, Alliance has got absolutely no pressure at the moment. Their 6 is weaker. Their continued mid-game is weaker. The late game is what's going to go and save them. And Shook, he hasn't even ganked once. He's going to go and farm up as much as he can. He's got the boots already, and he's got that quill coat. It's relatively inexpensive, so it's something that you can go and do to go and delay before he goes starts ganking. He wants to get a little bit of health on himself and just farm up the jungle as much as he can, because these lanes before 6 are relatively easy to gank. So some people may go and say this is a bad decision not to go and gank early, but he must have something up his sleeve, because Aurelia is relatively easy. Not relatively easy to gank. She's pretty hard to go and gank. I would say Ahri is relatively easy to gank before 6. The only reason she will go and escape is due to her flash and her charm. And if Alliance is going to play their cards right, this charm would hopefully go and land on something like Lucian in a team fight. Let's not go and talk about the mid game yet. Let's go and talk about the laning. And overall, very, very, very even. CS advantage, very big CS advantage, about 12 in the bot lane. Quite significant, but saying that Alistar does go and have that relic shield, so it kind of evens it up a little bit more. Meteor's put in a lot of pressure in the top lane. He wants Bowls to get going. Bowls goes on tilt. Generally, Cloud9 goes on tilt. Saying that if High goes on tilt, then Cloud9 definitely goes on tilt. If High isn't playing well, then the whole Cloud9 team just falls apart due to the fact he is the shoutcaster. Not shoutcaster, shot caller. There we go, that's the word. So saying that, he has to go and have a decent early game and just not completely feed out his opponent. And so in order to go and do that, he's gone and run the Megatron cloak, but a massive trade in the top lane. Both top laners not especially confident in their abilities. Not especially confident at all. Blue buff trade's going to be going along. Shook's going to go and probably give that over to Ahri as well. High's got his. He's going to be chucking tons of bombs. So all is well in the lanes. All is well indeed. Lemon put in a nice pink ward in the bush. You can see in the top left hand corner, but we're off screen right now. So that's going to give really nice vision towards that dragon pit. A lot of pros just completely forget that bush and they just walk through it and just forget the pink water's there. It's happened many times in World, many times in the LCS. So everything is just looking a-okay. And I predicted it correctly. Shook has gone for those mobility boots. It wasn't so much a prediction. It was pretty easy to go and say. So now this is where he's going to be ganking. He has barely been seen by Cloud9. So Cloud9 have got no idea where his build is at the moment. So saying that, the mobility boots gank is going to be extremely strong. He walks through a ward, but that really doesn't matter if he acts extremely quickly. But Bowls got complete vision on him. He's just going to go and stay back. It's just going to be more of a farm fest. Rammus knowing, Shook knowing that this is not the lane to go and gank, so he's going to look somewhere else. Mid lane is a possible target. Zillion, he does have a speed up, however, the CC will go extremely well. go and lock him down. But saying that, he has the ultimate as well, Zilean's ultimate, where he goes and revives him or another person. So with that, that also doesn't really work well. The only possible lane to go and do an efficient gank for Shook would be the bot lane. Lucian, he's a little bit slippery. Morgana does have a ton of CC, but linked with the Alistar would be extremely beneficial. In trades going back and forth, we could go and using his ultimate, just go and get a little bit of a poke. And overall, there's not been too much ganking either side. Alliance has still got his pink ward right there. Meteos is probably going to go and finish that one off now. Let's have a look now. Shook is going towards the top lane. He's got the Moby boots and his Q activated. Going to go straight into Bowls. Bowls flashes. Bad idea, mate. You're not under tower. He's going to get easily taken out, but the rest of Cloud9 is rotating over. On the top lane of Alliance are now split. Shook's trying to get away. Uses a Q. In the end, goes and hits into Meteos and thus doesn't escape. High flashes are going to get that kill, puts the fatal bomb on him and picks up a really nice kill. Getting a kill on Zilean, extremely good. High doesn't have that much kill pressure at the moment. He has a Tear, the Doran's Ring, and the Megatron Cloak. Oh no, the Null Mantle Handle, should I say. So he's going to be probably building into some Merc Treads, trying to go and mitigate the burst of Ahri, which is really strong. She gets a full combo out, the ult into Charm, into Q, into everything else, the other ticks of her ult. It just works really well to go and take out some squishy people, and Zilean is extremely squishy at the moment. And now we have Shook just waiting for a gank. Using the Moby boots, going straight in onto High. However, Meteos is going to go and meet him in the center. High survives with a sliver of health, and Alliance just goes and backs away. Ultimate used by Shook, that isn't going to be down for too long. And overall, again, it's just a trade of ultimates. A bit of zoning. Overall, a relatively calm early game, but it could be a lot more chaotic, with Shook just waiting around, farming up his jungle, just trying to go and get some decent items on himself. He's going to play that extremely vital tank role that every team definitely needs. If you don't have a tank, then you're doing League of Legends wrong. To go and soak up the damage in the front line, it's extremely important to go and do. So now we have Cloud9 simply just doing Dragon. There's no contestation from Alliance. I've got no vision on the Dragon Pit. That was a really nice pickup. Gonna go and bring the Gold lead out just by a tiny bit, about 1,000 gold. So overall, it's not going to be too much, but everything does go and count. And Alliance didn't go and respond anything with it. Wicked going and freezing the top lane, so they had no notification that Dragon was being done. Because in those type of situations, when whole of Cloud9 has gone and rotated the Dragon, generally your top lane will go in fast push, get at least a bit of damage on the top tower, because top tower for Dragon is relatively equal in these early stages. In late stages of the game, it's definitely not equal. A tower for Dragon, really not worth. At the moment, it definitely would be worth, so the fact that Alliance didn't go and do it is a little bit weird. But let's have a look at what the two teams are doing. There's a fast push top lane, and there's a fast push bot lane, trying to go and get those towers. Tower for tower, it's going to be absolutely no difference in goal. It's just going to go and open up the map a little bit more. It's going to make it a lot easier for Cloud9 to go and take that Dragon. However, it's going to go and open it up much more for Alliance in for Baron. Depending on how you see it, it could be an advantage to Alliance, could be an advantage to Cloud9. But Froggen's going extremely deep, using his ultimate 2 charges to go and get in a range of bowls. But in the end, that's just a wasted ultimate. And it's going to be down for the next team fight. And Cloud9 knows this. They know they can go in pressure. And Ahri, without her ultimate, her Spirit Rush, is very weak. No assassination potential. So with that, Cloud9 is attempting to go and push through this mid lane, but they're just a little bit scared of what could happen. High doing a double bomb, and even with Alistar's heal, still taking around half his HP. Obviously, he was a little bit taken off beforehand, but still doing quite a lot of damage. only with a Fiendish Codex and the Chalice of Harmony. So not too much AP, to be perfectly honest. Now Shook, with those Moby boots and his Q, speeding into the mid lane, waiting for Cloud9 to go and do a bit of a rash move. But they play extremely calculated, extremely organized, and they're just going to go and set up some more vision, waiting for the next dragon, which will come up in a couple of minutes. Blue buff transfers now occurring. Obviously, you want to get it on the mid lane. As Froggen's got his, Hire's got his. Just going to be a lot of abilities, farming up some more minions. Don't want to go and risk giving over a blue buff for just a very risky 1v1. Blue buff is extremely strong for many reasons. Mainly for the cooldown reduction. And for someone like for Zilean, who completely relies on cooldown reduction with his W to try to go in speed, try to go and get his ultimate up even faster. In fact, that blue buff makes it just even easier. You could have 2 revives in one team fight, and that is just ridiculously strong and gives dividends to why he's pickle ban at this moment. It's just going to be a bit of a farm, bit more of a farm. Wicked pushing up the top lane, not extremely fast, just trying to keep it around the middle stage. Don't want to go and push it too deep into that top turret. Obviously, the fact that Alliance have got very minimal vision on the top lane. Got really no idea where the jungler and the top laner may be. Cloud9 going for a bit of an invade now, moving into Alliance's jungle. They're going to get spotted out by a ward, but they're going to go and place one of their own. Lemon just sitting in that bush, playing very aggressively. In the end, it's just going to be a very deep ward. They're not going to be able to go and get that. Towers do go and give vision, so if you put it under the tower, it'd be very easy for Alliance to go and pick that one up. So it's just some deep wards. When the sweepers come out, those will obviously be taken out relatively easy. So the vision games are now in play. A minute 40 to Dragon, all the wards being placed. Those extremely deep wards are really useful, so they can have a bit of an early warning. Cloud9 has a bit of an early warning of when Alliance is going to be moving towards a dragon. If they're going to be moving through the red buff, or they're going to be moving through the mid lane to dragon. 2 very different ways. Especially for Ahri. The fact she can go and dash through the wall. Through the wall means having that side ward is going to give a lot of really important vision. And so they just want to be aware of where Froggen may be, because a bit of a hidden Froggen is definitely not one that Cloud9 wants. So to go and set this up, Wicker's pushing top lane, and Shook, Tabs, and Nymph are going to be going and pushing bot lane, trying to get these waves as pushed up as possible. TP is up for both top laners. 40 seconds left. Very much a contested objective right now. Whoever goes and takes this will go and swing the lead, get a nice gold advantage, and then the next big team fight could definitely be a really big advantage. So saying that, Froggen just trading damage back. The bomb does actually quite a lot. The heal from Alistar not really doing too much at all, and Froggen on, let's say, 2/3 HP coming into this fight, really not beneficial for Alliance. They either got to go and attempt to take this dragon, but if they do, they could just go and give Cloud9 the dragon along with a couple of kills. And Cloud9 is so good at securing games with even small advantages. Something like that, they just simply cannot do. So Alliance are moving towards a dragon. Shook right front and center. Not especially tanky at the moment, due to the fact that he has gone and deviated away from his tanky build with a Sightstone. And they're just going to go and push out bot turret. And with that, Cloud9 is also going to be pushing the mid lane. This may not seem extremely chaotic, but this is extremely important in terms of the context of the game. Cloud9 pushing mid lane, extremely good if they want to go in team fight. However, Alliance pushing bot lane, and the fact they're blue side, that means they could go and easily bait out Baron. If they get a nice big push towards that bottom turret and continually push it, especially if they go and get this inhibitor, this means that one member of Cloud9 has to go towards this bot lane to go and clear it out. in the fear that their Nexus is going to be going and get taken. With this really beneficial for Alliance, massive fight happening, Bowls are trying to put as many abilities into Nymph as possible, with Shook with just a tiny amount of HP, and Inhibitor is still up. Overall, this is worth for Alliance if they can go and stay alive. If kills are traded across, not especially good, but he goes straight into Frog and he gets taken out. Tab's got to go in flash, Lucian's going to go in and absolutely delete it. Lemon with a tiny amount of health, and Wicked goes and picks up 1 kill for his efforts. Even though Alliance did go and lose the trade in terms of kills, they go and win the trade in terms of objective positioning, in terms of map control. And with that, Cloud9 has to go and respond with this dragon. If this dragon gets taken by Cloud9, it will be okay, but still, they're going for it. Alliance going extremely deep. Alistar locking everybody up, but do they have the damage? Shook just on the back line, but they don't have their AD carry. Tabs is still walking towards this dragon pit, and overall, this failed attempt by Alliance goes and stops the dragon, which is good, but they're still going to concede over 1 kill. So some very weird trades, and we can see right here. Trying to take the inhibitor, Shook goes extremely deep, flashes, then doesn't get the stun off. So overall, it would be better just to go and focus that inhibitor, take that down, get the map control, than bait around Baron. But overall, they have to go and disengage. A lot of ultimates burn. They do go and get that tower, and that's something that Cloud9 did not get. They didn't go and get the mid tower. So overall, even though the gold lead may be in terms of Cloud9, Alliance definitely has the objective pressure, with that bot lane being extremely viable to take. So with that, Cloud9 is tempting to snowball their lead a little bit more, walled by Alliance, but they don't really care. They want to go and take this tower, want to go and open up the map even more, taking this top tower and then hopefully going and taking another top tower. Taking the top tower will make it really easy for this Baron to occur. Cloud9 does have a bit of a wave in the bot lane. It's not being pushed the way that Alliance would want. And so, to kind of go and counteract this, just sitting in the bush, they've got enough burst potential. Someone just goes and faithfully walks into there. It's going to be very bad. Meteos, he may be the subject. The charm does go in here. A lot of health on Meteos, but he just gets deleted. And so now Alliance is going to be moving towards this Baron. Without the jungle, it's going to be extremely easy to go and take. But they just want more blood. High, just way one more sliver of health. And in the end, he does go and get out. The Baron, it's another really important thing. I keep going back to it because this is a thing that goes and splits extremely close teams. The jungler, Meteos, is not going to be there for quite long. The Dark Binding does hit and goes and completely nullifies Froggen's ultimate. They have to go and disengage. It's too risky. Extremely risky for Alliance to do anything around that objective at the moment. So with that comes a very weird and split team fight. Overall, much better for Alliance than Cloud9 at the moment, but you could say that Alliance has the good pick potential, Cloud9 has a better team fighting, but saying that if a 5v4 does go and occur, as I said, with the bot lane, it's not really going to be doing very well. And Wicked knows this and is trying to go and push out as much as possible. Getting that bot wave extremely pushed. The inhibitor was not taken, so it's going to be extremely hard for this to occur. But he's got an absolutely monster wave in the bot lane, and Cloud9 knows this, moving towards the Baron pit, scanning it out, just trying to get a little bit of vision towards it. So with that, Alliance is giving up all Baron control, simply go and get a bit of map presence in other areas. Sneaky, using that Light Slinger passive very well, taking out towers extremely fast. He's been playing very well this game. At the moment, he has an Infinity Edge and a Brutalizer that's going to be quickly turned into Yamumu's Ghost Blade. I haven't talked much about the builds because there really isn't too much to go and talk about. But one exception to that is Froggen's build of a Fiend's Holy Grail and a Bizzle's Scepter, not going for the Death Fire Grasp that generally is first that is first built on Ares, going for the really high assassination potential, rather going for the more passive item. It's going to be better for his team due to the fact that magic resist reduction for anyone in the area. But saying that, still very weird he's gone for something along those lines rather than just the full AP burst that an Ares should really be doing, especially in a context like this. So the Baron bait has begun. High on the front lines, dropping bombs, just trying to go and get as much health of Alliance as possible. So Cloud9, they know they've gone taken off a bit of damage of Alliance. They're in a bit of a weird state. 2 members of Alliance are near their turret. 3 members in the jungle. This Dark Binding does go and hit Nif, going straight in. Goes and knocks balls instead of High, the tankier member. He still does go and get Vasilian Revive. And this split, and this fight is just all over the place. Froggen going extremely deep, using the Spirit Rush, attempting going to get as much damage as possible onto these targets. And Aurelia, Wicked, goes and picks up 2. But Cloud9, sneaky, he goes and gets a couple for himself as well. Goes and gets 1 in that fight. And overall, it's just a trade of members. The top laner and mid laner for Cloud9 for the AD carry and support of Alliance. Overall, you could say it's worth for Alliance because just getting rid of your support, not really that useful. Getting rid of your mid laner on the other team, much worth. Mid lane for support is definitely a good trade. And so minute 34 to Dragon. Let's have a look at this. The fight is split. Nif goes and takes a ton of damage, but his damage reduction's extremely well. Bolz gets the ultimate straight onto him, and now Froggen's just going to go extremely deep on the High. The revive has already been used. He goes down. And now, Sneaky on the backlines with Lemon, taking out Nif very easily. And so, this weird disengage, very split and weird fight. Overall, no real advantage. You couldn't say which team won the fight because it was simply just a trade of members. 2 for 2 each side. No objectives gained. No map control gained. So overall, it's simply a fight just for the sake of fighting. Whoever got the gold on both teams, it's going to be extremely good. They're going to go and push their builds a bit further. And talking about builds, let's have a look at what each team are built in. Cogmore, he had his Triforce quite a long time ago. That's a really good item. Goes and pushes him through the mid game relatively well. Lucian, as I said before, Infinity as your Muumuus, now going for possibly a Last Whisper or something along those lines. Looking at the rest of the teams, we can see just some very normal items. Triforce, the more on Aurelia, Rise, goes Rod of Ages. So overall, the build is very stock standard and just generally what you would expect from these types of people. Reasons for building these items, let's go and have a look. Infinity Edge, raw damage for Lucian, perfect, syncs well with his kit. But let's not go and talk about that now. Meteus is right in the fight. He goes and gets head-butted back, so his ultimate is of no use. The Soul Shackle is going to go and hit a couple of people. The Lucian ult, the culling just wiping through the team. It seems like Alliance is going to go and win this fight. But look at High. He's right in the background. He goes and gets revived, just dropping bombs on everybody. Bolz with just a slight bit of health deletes Alistar, not especially the tankiest person. Now it's simply High and Tabs, and Tabs wants absolutely nothing to do with High because he's an absolute monster at the moment. 317, 202 CS. His damage he's doing, especially with that blue buff, man, these cooldowns are just ridiculous. Have a look at this fight. Meteos goes into the open area instead of the bush, so his ultimate is just of no use. Tabs just goes and zones him out. He can't even use it towards the team, and throughout that, Sneaky gets assassinated by Froggen. Does a lot of damage, however, Sneaky with his culling. So overall, it's a very fair and even fight. Froggen gets taken out as well. It seems like Alliance are going to go and win this game. However, High is on the backgrounds dropping bombs for days. Triple kill for Tabs, but in the end, it's just a trade of kills. It's just a trade of kills. No objective pressure for each side. No objectives taken. And now another pick. High on the back lines. He goes and gets a bit of damage towards himself. But he's going to easily go and just keep dropping bombs. Meteos, he has to go and disengage. He's got no hope of surviving this fight if he's going to go and get zoned out by Wicked like that. Whoa, the shield just coming out, and Cloud9 are just getting dominated. A much more definitive fight. And now they've got a decision. Are they going to go for Dragon? They're going to go for Baron. Baron would be a much more wise decision. But the HP bars of Alliance are relatively low. Tabs does have quite a bit. Frogman's got about half HP. Shook's just going straight to it. He wants to go and attempt to start this one, going right towards this Baron. And now this is almost definitely a Baron for Alliance. There's no contestation. Meteos, he may get there in time if he has home guards. It seems like he doesn't. Alliance, they're going to go and take this Baron buff. And these small advantages are going to be playing very well. Alliance and Cloud9 are very similar in terms of their organized play. You can see they're very similar in terms of the scores, in terms of the kills. As they play very objective-based games. Froggen, he just wants kills, obviously, because it's Froggen. But you know what? He fits perfectly into this team. If he can go and assassinate anyone on Cloud9 of worth, High, Lucian, even Meteos to an extent, even Bowls, then it would be really worth. The Dragon is taken by Cloud9, but more map pressure is given towards Alliance. Have a look, they're going to take that tower. They've got Baron buff. C9 want absolutely nothing to do with him. It's just going to be a bit of a turtle. But let's have another look at this team fight. Wicked goes quite deep onto High. However, the teleport is in. Bowls is right in the fight. Froggen using the charm, goes and hits Lemonation. Zhonya's at the absolutely perfect time. However, there's nobody to go and follow up on that stun. The rest of Cloud9 has been absolutely dominated. Sneaky goes and gets CC trained along with Bowls, and in Vienna, Alliance goes and picks up a very good team fight. And the gold lead, it's basically nothing at the moment. These teams are still relatively even. So overall, this game is looking to be an extremely interesting one. At the moment, Alliance has a definite advantage due to the fact that they have the Baron buff. But after that Baron buff wears off, who will go and be the victor? That is the very big question on the minds of absolutely everybody that's going to be going and watching this game. Hopefully watching this game. Hopefully you're watching my commentary at this point. You're probably not. But that really doesn't matter. Let's go and have a little bit more of a look. Ari, Froggen's gone for Zhonya's Hourglass. Zhonya's Hourglass, fantastic item. Especially if you're going to go and get assassinated by a relatively not assassinated team of Cloud9. But the fact that Ari is going to be right there on the front line, she's going to be taking a lot of damage, that Zhonya's Hourglass is going to give enough time for a cooldown to be back up, and because she's just such a cooldown, ability reliant character. So having her Q down, having her W down, having her E down, having all abilities down, she's practically useless. So now, Alliance, very confident going to take this inhibitor, going and setting themselves up for the next Baron that may go and come along the way. Shook goes in CC straight into High. He gets taken out. And so the culling is just going to be absorbed by the tanks. Absorbed by the tanks of Alliance. They're just going to go and rotate through and probably go and take the middle tower as well. Who's going to be going and tanking? No one. The minions are going to be going and soaking up the damage for that one. Taking the turret. Going to be going and taking the inhibitor now. Dark Bind is absolutely nothing. Froggen going and pushing away Cloud9 with his abilities, and Alliance gets everything they wanted. Now they're just going to go and push top lane, get the top turret, get the top inhibitor, get 3 waves pushing, and that will be an extremely really good defense. Really good offense, should I go and say. Extremely hard to go and defend against 3 waves of minions. You're going to have to go and put a couple of people somewhere. You have to go and put a couple of people on another turret. And then Alliance, they can simply just go and push down 1. So, if Cloud9 wants to go into a 5v5, they're going to get minions on their turrets. So, overall, looking quite well. If these waves keep getting pushed by, let's say, Bowls in the bot lane, obviously, Cloud9's wave is going to win. But the fact that the inhibitors are up is going to be very worth. High is just way out of position. Shook flashes in, CC trains him up. It's got no hope. Can't even use his ultimate. He's just so much silence ability. And so with that, Alliance have got a quite a big lead now. They've been pulling just straws out of Cloud9. Just the smallest things, but those small things really do go and add up. They've got a lot of really formidable tanks. A Guardian Angel on Wicked as well. So even if he does die in a fight, which is extremely unlikely, look at his HP bar. If he goes and dies, well, he's just going to be up. Shook, he ain't going to go and die either. Alistar ain't going to die either. Just so much tank on the side of Alliance, so much front line. It's going to be providing a really good basis for the assassin of Ahri to go and probably take someone out. With that, Alliance puts pink ward, very arrogant pink ward, because, you know, they're just saying, Cloud9, you ain't going to be coming out of your base anytime soon. We're just going to be pushing. Look at that mid and bot wave. High's got to go and deal with that one. So that means Alliance has got free reign to try to go and take these turrets. And if moving through, probably going to go and push it off. So Alliance, look at that bottom wave. It's going to go straight forward towards the Nexus towers. And so even though it's 14 to 10 kills, Alliance is definitely in the driving seat. Ping's being spammed towards the Nexus towers, and now it's going to go for a massive dive. Elimination goes for the Soul Shackle, pulls out the Zhonya's Hourglass, but he's going to get deleted in an instant. Meteor's the tankiest member of Cloud9. He's going to get taken out as well. Bowls is going to go and get revived, but that is really not going to be extremely worth. It's going to get taken out as well. Great Zhonya's by Froggen. And overall, this is going to be the win for Alliance against Cloud9. Just completely playing the game so right. One tower goes down due to the minions. Another tower goes down. Nexus, very close. Now a bit of kill hunting. Can High go and get one more? No, he can't even put the buy. He puts a bomb on Shook. Gets a shutdown gold. But the gold isn't going to be especially worth if your Nexus is being taken. And overall, Alliance does an absolutely fantastic game, secures their dominance as being one of the best European teams in the world. Saying that, Cloud9 have played very well themselves, but their objective control, especially with that bottom inhibitor being open, everything kind of snowballed after Cloud9 went for the fast push mid, couldn't go and get the turret. And Alliance pushed all the way to the inhibitor. Didn't get the inhibitor, but it got the tower. And that means all Baron pressure is towards them. Then they just set everything up for themselves, playing it very well. And they go and get the wins. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the shoutcast. If you did, make sure to go and give it a like rating. But other than that, it's Undercover Dudes all the way from down under.